Hi, everyone, and welcome to Signature West podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. I do this show once a week because I love engaging, igniting conversations. And it's in the hope that you, the audience, the listeners, can find a value. And maybe at the end of the show, all of us here would learn something new. So today's topic is what they call a hot topic. It's on everybody's mind. It doesn't matter where you live, what part of the city you're in, what part of the country you're in. It's real estate. And I have with me today two guests, the managing brokers of two local markets. So we're going to try to dissect how did we get here, where are things at now, and we're going to try, I say try, to find out where we're heading. None of us here are fortune tellers and none of you are psychics. So just want to make sure that we're on the same page here. So let's start with ladies first. My first guest is Tish Herwig. She is from the Palm Desert Market. Share. Hi, Tish.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
And my next guest is Dean Foster from the Palm Springs Market Share. Hello.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Tish. Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
So let's just start with telling the audience, the listeners, how did you start in real estate and how long have you been doing what you're doing in your marketplace?
Who do you want to go first?
No, ladies first. Of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Gosh.
yeah.
So I've been in real estate about 21 years. That seems like a long time. Started here in the Coachella Valley as a real estate agent, like the many of the ones that both Dean and I manage. And my journey took me through into new construction. I worked for a Fortune 500 builder, a national home builder, and all over California. And then have worked with a large real estate investment firm, doing all kinds of really fun and different types of real estate, commercial shopping malls. We would buy up, lease up single family homes, things like that for Wall Street. So we did some interesting things. We flipped over 2,400 homes in a 4-year period. So that was a lot of fun. And then in the last 6 years, I've been a managing broker for what I call a retail real estate company that we specialize in residential real estate. And we do some little bit of commercial now and then, but mostly focused on residential.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. So Dean?
Well, first off, I should have gone first because that is really impressive, Tish. I was licensed in 2003. That was after a 20+ year career in the hospitality industry. And I migrated into real estate, which has always been a passion. I probably spent 4 or 5 years both in residential leasing and residential sales. I did property management. And if anyone's ever been involved in that part of the business, it's where you earn every single penny. And I have been in a role similar to what I'm in now. I'm a managing broker of an office in Palm Springs. I have been doing that for about 10 years with 2 different companies. So I thrive much more in the role of working with agents. I'm far more successful in that venue than I was, frankly, as working with clients. But I just love the process of helping agents grow their business and survive and grow. And in these days, as Tish will agree, the survival has become the harder aspect of those two, of that pronged
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah, for sure. So Dean, I look at your marketplace as the hub for tourism. When people come, whether they're flying in or they're driving into Palm Springs, they don't really think of Rancho Mirage or Palm Desert or India, maybe some do, but they really think of your little hub. So how does that differentiate your marketplace, your market value from, let's say, like Tish's marketplace, Palm Desert?
Well, I think Palm Springs has historically been the brand for the whole valley. And I don't ever see that changing. I mean, that is the brand. And people will say, I'm going to Palm Springs for the weekend, and they may be staying in Indian Wells, but that's the label. That's how we're known internationally. I think we have migrated. I've been in the Valley since 2001 or 2003, sorry, full time. And I think we have migrated though from the city from being a just a destination to also being a place where people live year round. If you were here in August of 2003 and wanted to go out to dinner on a Tuesday night, you would be hard pressed to find something open.
Yep.
And August now, in terms of the tourism aspect, Sam, is probably one of the busiest months with the local market. And it's even changed in real estate. I mean, it used to be that agents could take the month of August off because they weren't selling anything. It's for our company, it is probably one of our, it's not in the bottom four for slow months. It's actually still quite busy.
I had a restaurant in the 80s, in 88, and it was at 111. It doesn't exist anymore. And I remember 4th of July, I would drop a needle on the highway 111 and I can hear it. And that was just in July. And August obviously became even. So yeah, things did change a lot.
Our office is on Palm Canyon, and I'm fortunate enough that I face the street. And literally, on any given day, it's like being on the boardwalk with the amount of people that are visiting this destination. And many of them, as we've seen over the last couple of months, especially last 6 months or so, have chosen to make it their home.
So that's a good point. So the foot traffic, do you rely a lot on foot traffic? Does it change your inventory, so to speak, because of foot traffic?
We would assume that, right? But that's certainly not the case. And I'm sure Tish will agree with this. Most of our buyers have identified their property online before we've even talked to them to have that first conversation.
Right.
I think we've really transformed ourselves in the agent community from not being the person who finds the property necessarily for the buyer in all cases, but help them get into the property. And that's the whole negotiation and process. We really are doing a lot more education and service, I think, than selling as we did in the past.
So Tish, how does your market vary from Dean's?
I would say that I probably have probably more full-time residents concentration than Palm Springs. Palm Desert is really point central of the Coachella Valley. So in a very popular destination, probably up until recently, one of the biggest retail tax dollar generators in the Coachella Valley. I don't know that we're number one any longer because there's been so much expansion both east and west, from Indio and in Palm Springs. So we got competition for the shoppers, but our market we have quite a few condominiums and country clubs, golf country clubs, things like that. So I would say of all of the people that own condos in Palm Desert, about 70% of them own them as second or third homes. When it comes to single family homes, the combinations, it's about 50-50. So 50% living here full time and the other 50% coming and going either for months at a time or weeks at a time.
And what about the price point?
So Palm Desert price point is lower than Dean's office in Palm Springs. Palm Springs commands probably the highest price in the valley, I would think. Is that
on average, we're second to Indian Wells, which is kind of an anomaly. So, but the average, the median price sale in Palm Springs in April was $920,000.
For you.
For Palm Springs.
Right.
Yeah, so we're Palm Desert is still under 600,000, so we're in about the 580 range.
And I just want to be very clear to the audience. You guys are like not even a 5 minute. Well, for me, it's a 5 minute drive. I'm not in the middle. So it's not like they're not far apart. Just so we can visually.
Yeah. So our offices, what are we, about 12 miles apart?
Yeah, it's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Because of traffic.
Yeah, because of traffic, right.
Yeah, it would be 5 minutes. It was 5 or 10 minutes if there was nobody else on the road. So.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the frenzy that we're in, which I call it a frenzy. People say it's because, hold on one second here. People say it's because it's supply and demand. To me, supply and demand is a result. It's not the cause. What do you think the cause is that created supply and demand, created the frenzy?
We started really seeing it emerge in April last year after after we were shut down. The stay-at-home order went into place. And it was very quiet. And then in April, we just started kind of bubbling up. And I think that the pandemic has given folks a different perspective on how they want to live or where they want to live. If they're going to spend more times with their their circle of trust, if you will, friends and family, then they want to be able to entertain that in their home a little bit more. And I think that basic needs have changed, or wants have changed a bit. Also some flexibility in job where they can work. And then also some folks have decided, I think, to take an early retirement and kind of put their plan into action. So the buyer demand has really exploded, as you know, all over the nation, not just here. As we're hoping that this summer we see some of our what our economists call pent-up sellers demand, with the guidelines loosening a little bit, that sellers will feel a little bit safer listing their homes, and we should see some added inventory this summer.
Relief, right?
I echo 100% of your thoughts, Tish, and I just take it one maybe step further or from a different approach. I think the last 10 months, we've all had to reassess what's important in our life. And I think we've refocused on home, air quotes, home. And people, this is a beautiful place to have a home, whether it's a first home, a second home, or your last home. So I think the emphasis on people seeing that, except for the prices we just talked about, but for California, we're relatively still affordable, and you get space and you get, beautiful scenery. So I think, many of us have just focused on them, and that's translated. If you've tried to get someone to service your air conditioner or do a kitchen remodel, you can't find those people, because not only are people moving here, but people are reinvesting in the homes they already have to make it more livable and lovable.
Yeah, without a doubt.
What do you tell? Obviously, it's no secret that there's an abundance of realtors in the Coachella Valley. And I've known that since I started 25 years ago. What do you tell the new ones that are coming into the arena, especially in this time, in this era? What's your advice to them when they start coming in, they want to, join the fight?
Well, the first advice I would give a new agent coming into a market that is this robust, first of all, you want to join a company that has the most listings, and that is our company. Why do you want to do that? Because you have an opportunity to be alerted of those listings prior to them hitting the market. So you're able to place your buyers in a better position to get a home that they want. So the number one, a reputable company that has a lot of agents and a lot of inventory in this market, that's critical. The other advice I give new agents is that normally when a new agent comes on, their first foray into marketing is going to be finding buyers. We can find buyers very easily right now. So what they really must focus on are their skill set to look for sellers. It's a different skill set than servicing buyers. It's harder. There's more objections. You have to have more knowledge. And so it's going to take more discipline. And so if new agents are willing to put the work in to learn that discipline and to learn how to have conversations with narratives that match what's actually happening right now, that can translate to that seller's needs, then they're going to be more successful. But if an agent's not willing to do that right now, they're going to really have a tough time.
Dean?
Tish, actually, you and I had a conversation not too long ago about this, and you said something to me that really rang true. And I maybe have not been fair to people by giving the tough love speech that you are good at giving. But if an agent's not willing to commit 100% right now, they're really shooting themselves in the foot. To be successful right now, you've got to be full time, and you've got to invest as much time as you have, especially in the beginning, in your training. And if you can't do that, it's not going to be an easy road to success. It's not impossible, but it's not going to be an easy road to success. It's never easy, but it takes hard work and dedication. My background in hospitality, I put a really big emphasis on product knowledge. So agents have to know the market. And what's happening right now as a byproduct of your supply and demand, Sam, is that our Palm Springs buyers are having to be open to going down valley. And, when like I moved here, I would have never considered living in Rancho Mirage. And now that's, because there's so little inventory anywhere, our agents have to be educated to the entire market and know how to maybe shift that buyer from a Palm Springs mid-century home into something that's more traditional in Rancho Mirage or Palm Desert, even farther down valley in, say, Indio or La Quinta. But it's not an easy time to get in the business, but it's risky. It's never easy if the reward is good, and the rewards right now can be so plentiful.
They can, but let's just be honest. I mean, and I hate the fact that people get lost in the idea or in the hope of, even this is from when I started back in 1991. It's such an easy, we drive BMWs all day long and we just show beautiful houses, right? I wish it was that easy. I always ask the question, how will you be different? I mean, you guys tell me if this is even the right question. How will you be different, Mr. Agent, from the others? What differentiates you from the rest? And in this, I mean, that question can be answered very differently 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and now. And I'm not sure, do you ever run into that? And they tell
Absolutely.
you, I think
That's
that earlier.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And fortunately, the company that Dean and I work for, our company thrives on lifting our agents up in their individuality, and we are more of a concierge type service. All of our offices have managing brokers that are licensed, that have sold and we also we work with our agents one-on-one. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to my agent from their perspective, where are they and where is their best opportunity based on who they are, what their life rhythm has been like, who they know, and where can I help them find their low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Also, our company is very confident in our own brand, that we don't rely on the agents to lift our brand up. We actually have a full-fledged marketing team that helps custom brand our agents and to get to know our agents in a way that we can create logo, colors, branding that matches their personality and the market that they're trying to reach, so that their quality and brand and skill set all is really speaking to the consumer that they were meant to work with. And so we're not trying to take a lot of 20 new agents and put them in a room and teach them all the same thing. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way, no.
It doesn't work like that. We have to get to know who you are, what your rhythm is, so that we can put you on that same path with other folks that resonate with who you are as a person and as an agent. Because at the end of the day, we're not really selling homes. We are getting to know people and the changes that they're making in their life that happen to involve either buying a home or selling a home.
So what do you tell the ones that sort of riding the market? Because the market is driving itself, let's be honest, for the most part right now. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the market does change. So what do you tell, Dean, what do you tell the agents to sustain themselves now when things change? You're not like looking at yourself, oh my God, I just landed from a roller coaster. What do I do now?
It's okay. Hang on for the ride. It's going to be fun in a whole different way.
Right. But what is the system that you need to have in place to be able to, when you land from the roller coaster, you're not crashing. You're sort of like now, because I witnessed it in the last one and the last one, where they're like, oh my God, what do I do now? Well, because you're not being taught how to fish. You're being given the fish, so to speak, back to that concept.
So whether someone's new or having to shift in the marketplace, shift to the marketplace, it's always play to your strengths. And I think that's what Tish was alluding to, is, we don't want to try to recreate who the agent is. We want to take the agent and their strengths and help them grow on that. I don't want to plug the company too much, but we've been in this particular market for 20 years this year. So we've seen every single kind of shift. And the one we got dealt last was a different one. Don't get me wrong, but
I know.
it's the company's ability to think on the fly and sometimes go back to basics. And I think that's one thing that we did to not we didn't just survive the last year, we thrived. And that's not just in business growth, but in business efficiency. So, and it's really kind of playing to our strengths and going back to basics. And I would take that same messaging to an agent who's, I had agents last year that had their best year ever for obvious reasons.
Right.
And I had agents who had their worst year ever. And it was those agents who had their worst year ever who couldn't connect to the basic, how we all trained them in the beginning. Yes, you couldn't use open houses, but it's still about connecting with people. And no matter what happens in the marketplace, that good, bad, or indifferent, whether you survive it or thrive it is based on your ability to connect with people. And those are the type of agents that we try to attract at our company. So maybe we're more fortunate that we don't have the crash and burns when the market takes a change,
Right.
because we're working with people who have a stronger skill set to start with, and we're just helping them grow with that.
How important is the culture to the brand?
Number one.
Right?
Yeah. Without culture, I don't know about you, Sam, but have you ever worked for a company where you just hated to walk into that door every day because it just didn't feel good?
But honestly, to answer your question, I'm very, very fortunate that in my 25 years in real estate, the answer is, well, I was going to say, no, that's not true. During the recession, I had to go for a company for 6 months and I was miserable, but yes. So I'll take that back.
So yeah, so as you know, no matter what age you are or where you're at in your career, when you want to walk in that door with a skip in your step and feel positive about the day and the people you're going to come in contact with, and when you do hit some obstacles and have issues that you're having to solve that aren't that pleasant, you need to be surrounded by people that lift you up and help you succeed. And I think that is something we do really well here. Because of the volume of business that we do at our company, we see every different type of problem and obstacle that we have become so good at helping our agents overcome them, I think, quicker and more efficiently, and always having a broker there to step in and help you solve it in a way that you are very proud to have happening with all of the members in the transaction, that kind of thing. But culture is, I think, the number one most important thing, whether you're looking for a job, whether you have a job, whether it's a relationship or a family, wherever you are, because those external forces are what make you feel good every day. And that's what, if you feel good on the outside, you're going to feel good on the inside.
I agree.
I think what's kind of unique to us, and I can speak directly to this, is our company culture is really strong. But what's even probably more strong is the office culture. So Tish and I manage, two offices that are 20 minutes away, 5 miles, whatever it is. But they're very different cultures. I worked in Tish's office for a couple of years.
So tell me about that. How different are they? Because this is very interesting. We just said they're, I don't know, 10 minutes drive. To me, it's like maybe.
Well,
you
know how we talked about how Palm Springs, the inventory is, and the dynamic of that inventory is different than, say, Palm Desert, meaning
right.
Full-time, part-time. Well, the same. So different inventory, different city styles are going to attract different types of people. And those different types of people are going to, the ones that happen to be realtors are going to be attracted to a culture that supports that area. And so I think that is what is the difference between Dean and I's office, is that not that Dean and I are that vastly different, or that, we work for the same company, but the cities are very different vibe. And so those vibes are attracting agents and residents that are attracted to that vibe. And so that's why what kind of sets a tone, I think, in our offices.
Tish and I don't create culture. We cultivate it. It's the agents that drive. It's what Tish says, the community drives the agent population. The agents create the culture, and we just caretake it and help to grow. And it's interesting. Tish and I have both been in a situation where we merged offices, where we had to take two different cultures and bring them into one.
How did that
And
go?
mine is still a work in progress because I did it in the middle of COVID, so I haven't seen everybody physically. But it's kind of letting nature take its course, and then maybe just kind of tweaking it would be what I say. Kind of, the nature is a very strong force. I mean, if we look what happens out in the forest, it kind of takes care of itself as long as humans don't step in and mess it up. So we have to take a step back and let it happen. And I don't know, Tish, you completed the process. Maybe you can add more on
Yeah, well,
how you did it successfully.
well, I'm laughing because nobody likes their cheese moved, right? Have you ever read that book, Who Moved My Cheese,
Yep.
right? Nobody likes their cheese moved. So what happens when you merge, like two families together, that's the same thing. It's like merging two offices together. It's like merging two families together that, have slight nuances that are really different behaviors. And so, and maybe the same process, but a little slightly differently, handled. And so, I would say that, the broker is like, the parent in the family and has to, reach out and bring everybody together and create, I think, situations where both families can interact in a positive way that isn't confrontational, isn't, what am I trying to say, competition. So I think that both Dean and I going through these situations have, created events for the two different parties to come together to kumbaya with some fun stuff and to get to know each other as people first, and then agents and business people second. And so I would say that it's harder on the broker than it is on the agents whenever you're merging, because we want everybody to be okay. We care about everybody and we don't want anybody to feel left out or left behind. And so we really take it to heart. And so it's always more stressful on the brokers than the agents, but I think we've done a good job of getting everybody together.
A couple of days ago, NPR had a show, and that was called "Real Estate Out of Whack Market." You're laughing, and I really thought it was pretty much sums it up for me, at least. Why is it that people in the industry, whether they're real estate agents or, I don't know, mortgage brokers or anybody else, always say it's a hot market, it's a crazy market, as opposed to it's out of whack? Or is it both? I mean,
I don't think it's out of whack at all, Sam. I
Okay.
think that, being in real estate for a long time, you learn that the one thing I love about it, and the reason I've been in it so long, is that it's never boring. It's always going to change, and they're always going to think of something new, and there's always going to be a new headline. But at the end of the day, if you stick to your fundamentals and are consistent and foster your external culture with your internal feelings and how you feel about what you do every day and the people that you meet, then it doesn't matter what the market's doing. I couldn't tell you when I got licensed in 2000, I could not tell you what the market was doing. I had no idea. I just went to work. So it doesn't matter what the market's doing. Whatever the market's doing, you got to look where the opportunities are. So now, okay, we're in a seller's market. So how do we make our buyers successful, and how do we find sellers? That's it. It's as simple as that. If we go into a foreclosure market like we were before, okay, so how do I get foreclosure listings? How do I make sure that my buyers are getting a house that isn't going to fall apart after they close? Things like that. So it doesn't matter what the market's doing. You just learn to find, you just change your compass and learn to find where your opportunities are.
I guess what my concern is, and I've been around, since 1991, so I've seen a lot of this. So for now, when you got an agent and they're doing their best and they're one offer out of 25, so you got 24 buyers that are gonna go and cry and have had this, they go home crying, and 24 agents gonna go home crying.
Yes.
So that's I think what the out of whack means, because there's just not enough, as opposed to when you got like a house with 5 buyers or 3 buyers, it's in the market for a week, you have a conversation, second showing, third showing, oh, let's do an offer. So I think that's what the out of whack to me seems to fall into place? Because there's really 24 people or whatever, 10, 19, whatever the number is. They're going to go home and they're like, where do I find the next fruit?
Well, as an agent, you have to rank your buyers and pick the ones that are willing to take your direction. Number two, you've got to set their expectations and set them up for success. So the buyer has to be willing to participate within that framework so that you can do your job for them. Otherwise, they're not going to be successful. And as an agent, you got to move on to a buyer that you can be successful with.
Is it really that? Go ahead.
I would say the word tenacious, when I think of my best agents, they're tenacious, tenacity. They don't give up. They may have written 8 offers on a property for a buyer, and they're like wanting to give up, but they just need to have, what one of our favorite words in our company is next. Move on, go on, have a bad day, and then next, get up and get dressed and write some more offers, take some more listings. So it's that tenacity. And those, out of whack markets or however you want to describe it, it's that tenacity of both the agent and the brokerage that lead to success. And success may translate to your best year ever, like many our agents have, or survival. And so success is a moving target. Right. We just have to keep helping people get to that target.
Right. I want to close with this. There was an article that I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I'm going to read the last paragraph and leave each one of you answer it. Where is the last paragraph? Okay, so the last paragraph says this. There's a wave of first-time buyers coming over the next 2 years. 9.6 million millennials will turn 30. And Generation Z is close to their heels. Given where prices are today, the question should be asked is, where will they be able to afford to buy?
The joke we have in our office is Boise, but I just looked up the prices there and it's not true.
Not anymore.
It's not true. That is a really good question. I mean, as a country and as a state, we're in a huge housing crisis. And, I don't think it's the market that's necessarily going to fix that on its own. I think it needs the help of the people that run our governments, and it's going to be a partnership of public and private. And that's what solves most problems, is people working together. So we've got to work on solving this crisis, because I feel sad for Tisha's grandchildren who, the thought of them trying to buy, what as I said, a $920,000 house.
I know.
How are they going to do that? And sorry, I outed you as a grandmother, Tish. But
I know the cat is out of the bag.
But anyway, it's a housing crisis that looms large. It's the elephant in the room, and we're going to all have to work together to find solutions. And the solutions are going to come in little bites. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and that's how we're going to solve this crisis.
Yeah, that's it. Well, looking at it from a different perspective of not necessarily solving the crisis, but how are these first-time buyers going to navigate in the environment that we have? I would tell the first-time buyers, like I tell my daughter, who is a first-time buyer, save your money. Don't, keep saving. Make sure you have good credit, right? And your first purchase may not be your dream purchase. It may be your stepping stone, and there may be several stepping stones to get to, your dream home or the home that you envision yourself in. So maybe you have to live in a town that's, 15 miles away from work instead of 4 miles away from work, or maybe you have to get a 2-bedroom instead of 3-bedroom, or maybe it's an attached unit versus a detached unit first, and build some equity and then move up. And so it may be a little bit more tedious and longer process than what we've had I'm gonna say the luxury of living out here in the Coachella Valley. We've been very fortunate. It's like the last frontier for a beautiful place to live at a reasonable cost in Southern California. But our costs are going up, as you can tell, and the wages out here for folks that work full time aren't really in keeping up with the cost of housing. So there's a little, we have a lot of service industry. So it's going to be, saving your pennies, quick going to Starbucks. You just gotta, it's all the little bitty steps that add up to the bigger opportunities later.
I agree on with both of you on that answer. So you answered that very good. You get A plus. You guys, thank you so much. This was lots of fun. Do you want to add anything?
No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting us, Sam.
My
And
pleasure.
thanks
ahead.
for Tish. It's always fun collaborating with you. So sometime we're going to be on the stage again together doing it face to face.
I know. I can't wait.
So thanks for giving us this opportunity, Sam.
Thank you, everybody. And again, for the listeners, I know it's a mantra now. If you enjoyed this show and if you like what you've heard, please subscribe. It only helps me and help others to bring this value topics to you. So on that note, stay well, be safe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.